Welcome back to Dear Psychopomp. Let's talk about death. Our guest today is Joe Diamond, also known as the Midwest Mystic. Joe is an artist, performer, and a mind reader whose work finds him in close proximity to people during some of the most emotionally honest moments of their lives. He's appeared on Las Vegas stages and television shows like Penn and Teller. Not sure if you've ever heard of that one. But most of his work takes place in historic and often considered haunted locations. Those spaces that are shaped by loss and memory and death. Joe has spent years observing how humans behave when certainty falls away and how mystery, connection, and vulnerability show up in those spaces. Rather than offering answers, Joe approaches the unknown with curiosity and respect, exploring what it reveals about who we are, how we live, and how we relate to life and death. Joe, thank you so much for your enthusiasm about being here today. I am very excited to share this discussion with you and my dear listeners. So, Joe,
thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I'm so excited. How is your day treating you so far?
It's been good so far. Better now that we're talking, of course.
Of course. Thank you.
But yeah, usually Tuesdays are kind of my day off, my weekend, kind of in a sense. As a full-time performer, I'm performing at, ticketed shows or house parties or company events or whatever, usually on weekends. And then usually Sundays are the day off for myself and my partner, my wife Lindsay. But then she starts work on Monday and she works from home on Mondays. So usually I use that time to email and everything. But then Tuesday is the day I call it my introvert day, where I try to not look at my phone. I try to literally messaging you that stuff yesterday was one of two things I looked at my phone for yesterday. I try to. It's not always perfect, but I'll it's not a strain-free day. I will binge trashy horror movies on all the different streaming services, but
excellent.
But that's a good way to kind of decompress and all that.
Yeah.
So today is back to work, and I'll chat with you.
Awesome. Speaking of horror movies, have you seen my absolute favorite? It's called Rubber.
The tire.
Yeah. There's a tire that becomes, self-aware, self-conscious, and telekinetically makes people explode. And I think his name is Robert.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And
there's I might not have seen the whole thing. So there's a show on YouTube called Best of the Worst, where they'll watch trashy movies. They'll watch 3. They'll show you clips of their reactions, and at the end of the hour, they have to pick what's the best one and what's the worst. And very often they'll destroy the worst one. And so I've seen a lot of the highlights of different movies, but the truth is, when you start watching trashy movies on your own, it starts to blend together of did I watch the whole thing or did they watch that? Did I watch someone else watch that? And then on top of that, Mystery Science Theater 3000 and everything else. It's but yes, I have consumed the item. I was about to say I have consumed Rubber, but that also sounds terrible. So yeah.
I love it. And I love that you mentioned Mystery Science and all that stuff, because as my listeners know, I am very scientific, but I'm also very spiritual. I believe that spiritual things and magic are things that science simply cannot describe yet or ever. And that doesn't mean it's not real just because we can't quantify it or collect data on it. And so a question I had for you is, if everything is a cycle, everything relies on balance, yin and yang, black and white, life and death, things like that. How do you explain the balance of our living energy, and by living I mean in our meat suits, with the spiritual realm? Like, how do we interact? What's that? I know some people call it the veil, some people, have alternate,
Sure.
like, what do you think? Yeah.
Labels. So this actually ties right into some of the cores of kind of my artistic work. And we'll kind of start with the word paranormal to start. That's kind of been the word I come back to for a lot of this stuff, rather than the supernatural or even spiritual or religious or anything. Because paranormal just means outside of the normal. Para meaning outside and normal meaning normal. And when skeptics, and I like to think of myself as a skeptical person as well. I think all of us who are spiritual are still skeptics. I'm not hugely a fan of that word, for lack of a better term, being appropriated, but that's a whole other conversation for another time. But when people say there's no scientific evidence for the paranormal, I just want to go, yeah, that's the definition of the word. If there was a definition or an explanation for it, it would cease to be para and just be normal. And I think a big part of that comes down to, like you said, quantifying it, but also putting a box or a label on it. Like us as humans, we like to try to contain the unknown by putting a label on it, like, paranormal, but also things like ghosts, UFOs, crop circles, coincidence. In fact, I used to open up one of my shows called Paranormal, where I had a box and I said, this box contains the unknown. What's funny is none of you are obsessed with the box, but you still want to know what's inside, but you still call it the box. But because that's what we do. We try to contain the unknown by putting a label on it, like the box, paranormal, all that.
Yeah.
And
We're comfortable with certainty.
yes. Once it's in the box, I don't know if you watch New Girl at all, but once it goes in Nick's box, it's like, I know it's my box. It's in my box. It's taken care of. It's in the box. Which is maybe not the best way to deal with stuff, to just bury it all down. So part of my work is I really try to embrace mystery, and I really try to encourage other people to embrace mystery and embrace just saying, I don't know. I don't know. I like living in that gray area for a lot of my stuff, and there's a lot of people who, they say like a more traditional magician who would go on like Penn and Teller show, for instance. They're like, oh, they can't tell you, they got to keep their secrets and all that. The truth is, when you go back to like actual, ceremonial magic and ritualistic magic, not just performance magic, I use them fairly interchangeably. Even though, but I try to, so if I misspeak, just when I'm talking about performance magic, I'm talking about magicians who saw ladies in half and pull rabbits out of hats and all that kind of stuff. And ceremonial magic is much more tied into, ritual and, ceremony, of course, the paranormal, all that stuff, just to kind of, again, keep those distinctions. But what's funny is like magicians who go the more performance route kind of wear the secrecy on their sleeve, and that kind of becomes all it's about. Whereas it's not so much that we're keeping secrets from you, we're keeping them for you. The same reason Marvel keeps plot points a secret. They're keeping it a secret for us so that we can watch it in the movie and be satisfied and not be spoiled. reading a crappy article at 1 a.m. They're keeping that a secret so that we
Yeah.
can see that experience. And so I'm very open and honest with a lot of my methods, and a lot of what I do between stagecraft and some of the more physical, for lack of a better term, mechanical methods. But there's also a lot of what I do where I am using pure intuition, where where I do incorporate ritual into my work. And it's it's okay if my goal isn't to make people believe everything I say or disbelieve everything I say. I'm more okay with just bringing people in and having them go, okay, what really happened here? And I think that gives us it's given me more of a kind of acceptance when it comes to things like, life, death, and all those big questions, personally. So it brings me a lot of comfort, and hopefully it can bring other people comfort. And if not, hopefully they still go, hey, that was a cool show, and I'd like to hang out with that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like how you mentioned with ritual and ceremony, because we, as a species, we like to think that we're logical because we can make things and sound smart and whatnot. But at the base of it all, we are emotional. The higher awareness that we get is simply a way to be able to regulate our emotions. That's our gift, is emotional regulation, which unfortunately not everyone has received. And as far as it goes with what I do as a death doula, the most important thing that happens is the ceremony, it is the ritual, it is the greetings and the exchange of energy, and funerals, weddings, birthdays, last rites. It's all about kind of just summarizing something for ourselves, honoring it, and then allowing ourselves to be able to continue with our lives from that point forward while still honoring these things. So I wonder how, when, I'm not sure how the mind reading works.
Sure.
But I like to think that somewhere in there is a ritual that you have.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That can even maybe help people I call it a tactical breath.
Yeah. I haven't found too many. Personally, I haven't found too many uses for what I do to be translated to others. I think magic is a very personal thing, and ritual and all those things. That said, I always say, mind reading is more about empathy than telepathy. One of the jokes I have in my show is my wife is the biggest skeptic, and that's not a joke, actually. That's true. But she once said to me, Joe, it's not so much you're psychic, you're just a straight white guy with empathy. Which, to be fair, in this era, it's a miracle.
Not wrong.
To be fair.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing how much we don't pay attention to one another. And yes, there is some psychology, of course. There's intuition, there's emotion. Rather than explain it, you want to dive in and try something with you and the listeners? Okay.
Let's do it.
So,
put my goggles on.
So I just want to double check before we go any further. Did you try any of the experiments I did with Mike from our talk, or no? Did you follow along? There were a few things we followed along with. I just want to verify for anyone listening. I don't want them to think you and I set this up, or you're just remembering from when I did this with Mike.
I watched it. I
fine.
did not practice anything.
Okay, all right.
I
So
have my own
we'll do this. I'll change it a
weird
little bit so
practices.
that way it's a clean slate. No, that's fine. Basically, we're gonna keep it very simple. I'm going to think a thought. I'm gonna think of a memory. I'll project it to you, and even the listeners listening who can't see us, the more intuitive ones should be able to pick up on some of the vibes I'm sending out. So, because intuition ultimately is knowing without. So don't think about it too much. Go with whatever pops in your mind naturally. Okay. So here's how we'll do this. For starters, just take a deep breath and exhale, or you'll suffocate. Very good. Okay. And I want you to just again go with whatever comes to you naturally. For you, Anne Marie, you can look in my eyes. This should help us. But people who are just listening audio wise, it should be fine. Take one more deep breath. And as you exhale, I want you to just get in your mind a simple color, first one that pops in your mind. Okay. Now, as you take a deep breath and you exhale, I want you to turn your attention inward and feel your internal temperature and see if you feel yourself becoming warmer or cooler over the next few moments. Okay. And now take a deep breath, exhale, and try to listen inside your head. If someone's not wearing headphones, they can try to just kind of cup their ears or cover their ears a little bit. We're wearing headphones for recording for the podcast, but kind of cover your ears and just be aware of any sounds that come into your mind, maybe physically or metaphysically. Perfect. Now, this is the hardest one. I want you to look right at me, Anne Marie, and quick as you can, think of a verb. That's an action, something you could do right now. Okay, got one? Okay, let's see how we did. So I was actually thinking about a memory from 2 years ago, because my wife and I are going back. She's got family in Hawaii, and I was thinking about the last time we were there, and there was one night where we were. It was getting close to sunset, but rather than the red skyline, I was actually more focused on the blue water. So if you got blue, we'll count that as one. Um, it was also, even though the sun was going down, it was still very, very hot. So I could remember because the sun's still, shining on us. So I remembered myself becoming a lot warmer. So if you got warm, we'll count that. Of course, I'm looking at the water, and I was also in my mind kind of picturing and kind of hearing the ocean or the water in front of me. So we had that. And then it was funny because just out of nowhere, I started to run towards the water and then just jump up and down like up in my ankles. So I was thinking about so technically that's two, that's run and jump. So if you got either of those, we'll count it. So how'd you do? Did you get just one of them? Did you get a couple of them? How many of those did you get?
You did awful. I got nothing.
Oh,
As
you got
soon
nothing.
as
Oh, okay,
as
it's
soon
okay.
as you started talking, I saw an elder woman, 60s or 70s, white hair,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
blue eyes, but like with lots of the crow's feet. Like she
Okay.
smiled a lot,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I felt it felt like a cold day in fall
Interesting.
with
Interesting.
candles.
Interesting.
I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay.
That's what came to
Okay.
me.
That's no, that's okay. That's okay. So now that's not what I was consciously thinking of. That said, I did mention this to you beforehand. Maybe this influenced you. I don't know. But we're coming up on the 1 year anniversary of my mom passing away. So it wasn't quite the fall. This is February. But she did like her candles. She was very smiley. She had the crow's feet. So maybe there was something there. Now, it's okay that you didn't get any of these. Now, in my stage shows, I'll do this with the whole audience and see who gets all three or four, who gets none of them. And the thing I always say is, don't worry if you didn't get any of these. But because it does a couple things. Number one, it shows how difficult it is to send and receive thoughts. Number one. Number two, it also shows how how we think. People, like, for example, some pieces, like you're the kind of person who really thinks about what you're going to think about. It's very hard and difficult to kind of go with what comes to you, quickly and naturally. So we can take this another step further, and try something just with you this time. That way, there's not as much of sending it out for everyone. So we're gonna try this just with you, Anne Marie. So here's how we'll do this. I am. Let me just grab this. So rather than me sending you a thought, you're gonna send me a thought. Okay?
Okay.
Did you ever, when you were younger, and of course, if someone listening got these, they can message us on Instagram or leave a review or something and let us know. But I'm gonna try this specifically with you. When you were younger, was there like a picnic table or like a tree near where you lived where everyone like carved hearts or like wrote like their initials, on the park benches and stuff with like hearts in there with like their crushes and all that?
No.
Okay, that's okay. But you know what I'm talking about. You've probably seen those around and such. Okay, there was
Totally.
one near my house growing up. So here's what we're gonna do. I want you to just think of. I'm gonna kind of draw a heart here while I start this. Think of one of the first people you can remember having a crush on. Okay, it doesn't have to be the very first. It can be a celebrity crush. In fact, just think of their initials. I don't want to get, this is being recorded for a podcast, so I don't want to get too personal with this. So just think of their initials. Let me know when you've got them.
I've got him.
Okay, I'm just gonna do AM for Anne Marie right now. Okay, so it's gonna sound kind of strange because you're looking at me on the screen, but I need you to look right at your camera for this so that I can see. Yes, okay, so it's weird because technically we're not making eye contact unless you're looking at the camera. So look right at the camera, think of the initials, don't react. Don't physically react. You can emotionally inside react as much as you want, but just think of those two initials. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Great. Now I'm going to do this backwards. Z, Y, X, W, V, U, T, S, R, Q, P, O, N, M, L, K, J, D, C, B, A. Okay. I think you may have stopped thinking about the initials for a moment and be like, oh my God, he's actually doing this backwards. So I'm going to do this once more. Look right at the camera. Okay, Z, Y, X, W, V, U, T, S, R, Q, P, O, N, L, K, J, I, H, G, F, E, D, C, D, A. Perfect. Okay. I'm just kind of feeling like what my great grandmother would have called like an inner hug. So just real quick, I'm going to write these down. First thing I got was that these are two different initials. It's not the same letter each time. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I also believe both of them are consonants, correct?
Yes.
All right. I think I got it then. I'm just going to write this down. I'll keep this in view. I'm not going to let you see what I'm writing just yet. I'm just going to write these down. Now just look. I'm going to put the pencil down. I'll leave this up here kind of by my face so you can keep an eye on it. You can tell us now. What were the initials of this first crush?
ZH.
Z. One more time.
H.
H. Okay, there was a bit of a lag there. Okay, when was the last time you thought of ZH?
Oh, wow. Many years ago.
Many years ago. So I couldn't have like looked this up on social media or anything.
No.
Because
20
I
years ago.
almost did the opposite. I almost did HZ, but I want you to see I actually did write down ZH.
I love that.
And
Oh
I
my
will take a
goodness.
photo of this and send it to you so you can share it on social media later. So there you go.
And
So that's a little bit of what I'm doing. There's
yeah.
that's a combination. There's some psychology, of course, but there was also some empathy going on. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing, which is hard to demonstrate on Zoom, but I'd use in a lot of my stage shows, is psychometry. That's like my main thing that I use. I'll often make the joke in the shows that I need to be in contact with someone as we're warming up, and then after I've read some minds and done some stuff with people, they'll they'll give me objects, and they'll put objects in like gift bags or something. So when I take them out, I don't know who in the room they belong to, and I'll give a reading on the object for the person, and then give it back to that person as well. So it's entertaining for everyone, not just the person getting the reading. And there's no method to that. There is. I'm holding the objects and I'm not filtering. Now, some may say, oh, the energy I'm feeling off the objects are just in my head. It's kind of some weird placebo thing. But like when I try to go the more like Sherlock Holmes route and try to like analyze and be like, oh yes, the scuffs from here must mean they have a drinking problem. And that's the stuff that puts me, when I'm too logical, that's the stuff that sends me off on the wrong path. When I just stay still and try to not be too analytical and don't filter, I notice that's when I pick up on more about the person, the object's history, to the point where like I'll be talking about the object's history and then go, oh crud, you got this at a resale shop. You have no idea if anything I said is true because it could have been from before. you got this. But then they'll be like, yeah, I did get it at a resale shop. So it's kind of funny because it's kind of like, it's kind of less impressive, but also more in that way for some people. And my rule for this type of stuff too is even if we get nothing right, it's still fun. But like psychometry literally means soul measuring, the idea that we carry objects with us, they absorb a part of our personalities and maybe even a part of our souls. And someone picking up on, holding on to those objects and picking up on those vibes is a lot of what I do. And there is some science coming out with this. Again, even if it's just psychological, people will not wear a sweater from if they know someone had like died in it. Like if they know like, oh, even if the person was sick, even if like, oh, the person who used to own the sweater they passed away, they had AIDS. This sweater has been washed and cleaned since then and everything. But would you wear it now? But if they knew that, very few people would. And that's the thing I like to say. It's like everyone's a skeptic until you ask to borrow their hair and fingernails for a ritual.
It's true.
They will be like, nope.
It's true.
So there's a lot of that aspect as well into what I'm doing. And I do try to, I do try to make sure and, give people that feeling of mystery of like, where does the intuition come in? Where does the psychology come in? And I don't keep it a secret for the sake of, I must be the only one who knows these things. But for the art I create, it's, I want to create that mystery and that wonder.
For sure. And I love that. And I just want to let everyone know that my very first crush was Zachary Hansen. Don't judge me.
Yeah.
He was a drummer.
No judgment.
He was cute.
No judgment. No judgment.
I had a question. If I were to show you an object,
we can do something with it. So I have done psychometry over Zoom a few times. Yeah, if you hold it up, I'll just do a basic reading for it. If you want to give it a shot.
That'd be cool.
Let me take my watch off and everything.
This is something that I carry with me every day, no matter what.
Give me just a moment here. I'm just gonna make my screen a little bit bigger. Got it. Here. Okay.
Who was your first celebrity crush?
All right, there we go. Okay. Who was my first celebrity crush?
Yeah.
Ironically, the first one, like legit one I can remember having, was Brooke Burke. She hosted a travel show. And she hosts Penn and Teller Fool Us. So I actually got to meet her and read her palm. And she ended up hugging me. And I was like, why does this happen to... This shouldn't be allowed to happen. I shouldn't be even allowed in the same room with this woman. And she was really sweet. She was really gorgeous, even more gorgeous in person.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, really great. It was more of an honor to meet her than Penn and Teller, to be completely honest. And they'd probably agree that she's more fun to work with than me. So that's totally fine. Okay, so let me see the object.
Okay.
Just hold it up to the screen. Okay. Ooh, that's lovely. It looks
Trying to get it to
is that
focus.
like a bug of some kind on it, or is it
It's a
just
bee
like a bee? Yeah, yeah, okay.
on one
So hold
side.
on. So for people, I apologize that it's like taking all the contrast out and darkening my face, but I'm holding my hands up to my screen, so it's kind of by it. And again, I'm just going with like some vibes and everything. Okay, so I think this is connected with your work, but you know, spiritual work, not necessarily. Yes, for people like us, there's a fine line between career work and spiritual work. It's very much one and the same sometimes. But I think this is more for your own personal uh, work for the most part. I think it's something you do tend to keep close by. Uh, a door closed behind you recently, not literally, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Keep holding it up for a few more moments. Yeah, if you need to swap your hands out, because yeah, my arms are already getting tired.
I'm just trying to get it to
Yeah,
focus.
yeah, just going back to. It's okay if it's not in focus necessarily for this, but there was just going back to what I was saying before. I think there was a choice you almost made, but something stopped you. And have you been feeling watched lately? Like watched over, not like sorry, not like stalker or anything like that. Like just a feeling like, oh, this person's there kind of thing. Yeah, because I think this is
Yeah.
connected. Now, the other thing I try to be very careful of, you can relax your hand now. The other thing I try to be very careful of is because the joke I say in my shows is I'm not a medium, I'm a large. So I do try to make sure I'm not dealing. I have some great friends who are mediums. That said, in a lot of the contexts I'm in, uh, I don't want to take like because people have given me objects that are connected with someone who's passed away. I've even gotten ashes. I've even gotten actual human remains, sometimes in like jewelry or something like that, multiple times over the years. And I'm always very, very conscious to say, like, okay, I'm getting this from the object, from you. I don't think I'm getting anything necessarily spiritually from this person's ghost or spirit from the other side. The line I always say is, I talk to ghosts. We all talk to ghosts. I very rarely hear anything back. But I think like I got the sense while you were holding it, like that was the thing of like you hold it, kind of reminds you, feel like being watched over. Um, but that's the kind of you in general. You notice things, especially today. I think you notice some things that no one else did out and about before you sat down and record. Yeah, I believe that's. I mean, it's been a weird week, that's for sure. But yeah, that's pretty much all I'm sensing from it right now. So scale of 1 to 100, it's almost never like exactly 100 over Zoom, but I try to get as accurate as possible. But 1 to 100, just for the listeners, where would you rate the accuracy?
I'd say like 70, 80.
70, 80. Okay, great. So
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, I try to
Yeah.
whenever I do these, I always shoot for like the 80%. In person, I try to get up to more like 90 and everything.
Hmm.
But yeah, but like for over Zoom, I'm very happy with that. Thank you so much. And it's a beautiful item too. So I don't think it almost looks like a Saint Anthony, but not. Uh, which
you're
because I've gotten Saint Anthony's before.
you're very
Um,
close. Just trying to get my
okay,
camera to stop.
yeah, yeah. Focusing. And then
Yeah.
sorry, that's my fault. Why this is
That's okay. I'll just be blurry.
okay. Okay.
So this is a replica of Sharon's Obolus, who is the the boatman and You
Yeah.
owe
Yeah.
him 1
Yeah.
coin to get
Hmm.
across the river Styx. And I use this in, different rituals and ceremonies that I
Hmm.
have to kind of imbue it with strength. And if I do like a burn letter, I'll put it in between the pieces of paper so it can like
Awesome.
take that and have the
Hmm.
smoke and everything like that. And it
But
reminds
it's
me
for
of
both personal, spiritual work as well as the work you do with others as well too.
absolutely,
Like back and
absolutely.
forth. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
That
also
was the vibe
have
I got.
a
Oh,
guitar
guitar
pick.
pick. Nice. 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 Nice.
This was
Um.
my father's.
Yes. 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 Do you keep it in your wallet?
I keep it in my pocket.
Keep it in your pocket, okay? Because those are plastic, and with so I've wanted to get but it's the only one I have. I've got a guitar pick that's like very much a good luck charm for me. But like, and I've been tempted to put it in my wallet a couple times when I've flown because I always have my grandfather's pocket knife with me, but I don't fly with it for obvious reasons. But I've been thinking about like getting the guitar pick, even though I'd be gutted if I lost it. Like that barely even leaves the house. But part of me is like, just put it in your wallet. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. But I'm like worried like that's going to be the time I finally lose my wallet or something. So yeah. But yeah, good guitar picks. Good. I don't feel like they're used enough as um, amulets or talismans because they're kind
Yeah,
of perfect. They're flat.
they are.
They create music. They're
Hmm.
um,
I could
most of them are.
I could secure it in resin for you. I have a guitar pick mold.
Okay,
Strengthen it so it can handle a
cool.
wallet should you choose to
Okay,
put it in the
I'll take you
wallet.
up on that. Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I mean it's just I love how common amulets and talismans and everything's are, but we just
Hmm.
call them accessories. We're accessorizing. I'm just
Yeah,
showing off
yeah.
my whatever, but everything that like this mallet was handmade, hand knotted,
Hmm.
everything like that. I have a meteorite from space that just everything that we
It's awesome.
use to represent ourselves also represents our unknown. So
Hmm.
this is what we
Yeah,
want to project. This is what we want to protect us. And we're going on faith that this little piece of space that's been around forever
yeah,
is magically going to help me. And if it does or it doesn't, it gives me comfort. And
yeah,
comfort is a
yeah.
kind of magic.
Well, I always say, when people say like, "Oh, it's like a metaphysical placebo," I'm like, "Well, placebos still work.
Yeah.
Like, how is that not magical?"
That's why there's a name for
Like,
it.
yeah,
We
exactly.
named it. It's a thing.
It kind of, as much as I don't love invoking dead white guys, but I think certain certain quotes that really stick with me. One of them is an Einstein quote, which is, "There's two ways to live your life. One is that nothing is a miracle, and the other is if everything is."
Absolutely. It's
And I prefer the latter.
to even exist, to be here, and that's the thing that gets me to when I'm speaking with clients or anyone. It's you're not gonna get to your deathbed and be like, I paid my taxes so good. Like that's not we're taking everything too seriously because we've given into our egos and we've started ignoring our intuition and then add in a bunch of capitalism and crap. And we've got
Hmm.
a lack of spiritual connection with everything around
Hmm.
us. We're digging up the earth, we're blasting holes through the mountains, we're cutting down all the trees, we're you know?
Yeah, that said, I mean, I think everything's gonna be okay eventually.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
you know,
Always.
but and part of the things that gives me hope is, again, for lack of a better term, the secular form of spiritualism, like the fact that like millennials were just like, nope, we can't afford therapy, so we're all gonna learn tarot.
Right?
Like when I was growing up, like if you knew someone with a tarot deck, it was like they had a bomb or something. It was like, who
Mhm.
has now it's just like, the fact that like, and there's a certain feeling of like, oh, it used to be a very limited thing, now it's for everyone. But it's like, okay, like I try not to gatekeep. I do believe that there's always gonna be secrets. You can always go deeper, you know?
Mhm.
If it was gonna be tarot, hey, you're focused again. Yay.
Yay.
If it was gonna be tarot, it's gonna be palmistry. It was gonna be like, all that kind of stuff. And there's also so many beautiful oracle decks and everything. Like, you said you designed one and everything. So like, yeah. So I think the more something gets in, people get intrigued by it, the deeper it goes. And like the metaphysical and this, again, for lack of, again, I don't know what to call it other than, secular spirituality, or alternative spirituality. The fact that it's not just, Catholic, evangelical, Lutheran. It's now like, oh my gosh, there's, people who, study witchcraft. There's people who study, and it's, it's still, there's still issues. There's still all the same roadblocks we've had every single time there's been any level of human growth for the last couple thousand years. But like studying history, like that's the thing too. Like the more it's just like, okay, this has happened before. It'll likely happen again for something even stupider, probably. But for the most part, like all I can do is make magic, make art, and make it make life hopefully more more interesting while we're here.
And I think that's beautiful. I just leave the world a little happier than you found it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a strong believer in we become the adult that we needed.
Oh, I love that.
So
I
who
am
were
writing that
you?
down because wait, or no, that was my last piece of paper. Hang on, I'm typing it out. That is great. Putting that in. That is going in the quote book.
It's true, and I can see everything that you try to give, your empathy and your information and your understanding and even your neutrality
Mm-hmm.
and embracing mystery and everything like that. You had a lot of questions growing up that you weren't able to get answers to, and it was frustrating for you. And it
Oh yeah,
feels
definitely.
like you were not heard. Your words were not heard or understood,
Mm-hmm.
or something like they were uh, purposefully misunderstood
Yeah, I don't know if purposefully would be the knowingly misunderstood, I think
knowingly.
is the better way to put it.
Yeah.
Like they didn't do it on purpose, but they knew they weren't working really hard to understand me,
Yeah.
I'd say.
And so I wonder how doing what you do is able to help you heal who you are versus who you were before the world told you what to become.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, all art, magic ultimately is a voyage of self-discovery. That's what my late mentor used to say. It's about finding out who I am. In fact, to the point where he even said the only thing you need to know in order to be a successful human artist, performer, all of it, is to just know who you are. Like it's, and that's practical. If I want to add, a script or a piece or an element to my show, like I can just tell when it's like, oh, no, that would not just any more than that wouldn't fit me any more than or just like Taylor could see a suit on the rack and be like, no, those aren't going to fit you. We need to customize something. Or vice versa, be like, just see something and go, oh, grab that while I can. That'll fit me perfectly. Just by knowing who I am, I can see those things. And the more I've done that with art, the better I've gotten at it in life too. Like, yeah, it's, yeah. And I think being it's important because it's not important. Like being an artist is like, it's not curing cancer. It's not being a death doula. It's not, on the hierarchy of things, arguably, and very objectively, it's, there are more important things, but that's what makes it so important. We need good art. We need to be transformative. We need the clown and we need the wise man, and we need to be silly about the serious, and we need to be serious about the silly, like the clown. There's so much in that we need. The magician card is in the middle, heaven, pointing toward heaven and earth, and serious about the silly and silly about the serious. They are both the wise man and the wise guy, to quote Robert E. Neal, who wrote a book called The Art of Dying, and he's written some other books for magicians too, which talks about the symbolism and meaning of performance magic and all this stuff from cultural and ritual and ceremonial magic as well. And he's written extensively about the trickster. We need the trickster, we need the sorcerer, we need the oracle, we need the sage, we need the maiden, we need the mother, we need the crone. Like, we need that figure that is in flux and can give us those big questions, but can also just tell a joke to break the ice. Like it's a needed function in society, and it's my calling. Like, again, my mentor Eugene also talked about, he grew up very religious as well, and I heard this. So when I was like 14 and read this in one of his books before I met him in person, he mentioned how like ministers will talk about being called to the ministry, and he felt called to be a magician. Yeah, he did performance magic, but he also became famous for burning a piece of thread and putting it back together while talking about Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Like, talking about the birth, death, and resurrection of the entire universe while doing a simple piece of sleight of hand that would maybe be told with, my wife jokes and, all this other stuff. But he made that insignificant thing significant, and that's a part of this work.
Well, I humbly beg to differ on
Sure,
the insignificance.
That's fair.
Throughout history,
Taking something that's seemingly insignificant, I guess, is the better way to put it.
Seemingly.
Yes.
To the normies. But of all the things that we can give each other as a species, historically speaking, those who can embody emotions that we don't allow ourselves to embody are the ones who are held on pedestals. The actors, the singers who can sing a song so deeply that you get goosebumps. The people who can teach us how to be comfortable with our own emotions and celebrate our emotions, and to be able to go through difficult situations like in a movie and you're like, man, if Brad Pitt can do it, so can I. And I think the entertainers, the artists, the musicians, everything, anyone who can turn a part of their soul and give it as a gift to the world without wanting anything back, That's love. That's power. And unfortunately, somewhere along the way, we started liking politicians better. And I don't understand that, but that's for another episode.
Well, I mean, there's the argument that it became the importance and non-importance got too blurry in some ways. Like the for lack of a better term, the professional wrestling aspect of it, the sports. Because I mean, sports, professional wrestling, all of it goes back to, tribal gladiator days, being, our team, all this other stuff. And that kind of got absorbed, for good or ill, into my country's political systems, and to the point where we had someone who had done actual wrestling, apparently, well, a cameo in a wrestling match, we'll leave it at that. But and talk about not getting too much into this, talk about empathy, like the fact that for the last decade, some of us have just been like, yeah, we can tell he's no, they're not the one. He's not the one for that job. Oh, that person he wants, they're not. Those of us with just base, it's really become like, oh my gosh, the people who don't have the empathy for this, it's become very, in some ways I feel bad for them, because it's like, oh my God, how do you not feel bad? How do you, how are you able to be this, this, for lack of a better term, malleable? I don't even like to say manipulated, because I think that, people aren't easy to manipulate, but they can be, they are malleable, especially when we get into groups and teams and all that stuff. And I don't know, I think, but I think, eventually, we're gonna realize, there's gonna be a critical mass at some point, and the pendulum's gonna swing back the other way. And there's been, I think, partially culturally, partially evolutionary, the pendulum swings have been a lot quicker and shorter. They've been rather than the big swing back and then the big swing. But eventually, that's gonna, something's gonna happen to bring it all the way back, and we're gonna have that nice big long swing again. And I think for now, before a decade ago, the world was very soft. It was very comfortable. And I think the job of the artist was to kind of ruffle feathers a little, make it a little uncomfortable here and there, in a safe way, of course. Never put people in actual harm or, actual danger. But since post-lockdown and everything, the world has become a lot sharper and I think art, I'll say this much. I said it in 2016, I said it in 2020, and I said it in 2024. Man, at least the art's going to be great. The art's going to be so good. And there was a good chunk of a better part of a decade and a half where we didn't have legitimately great art. We're all trying to remember great albums from 2002 to 2017, and it's all very mushy and it's all stretched out. But the amount of great albums and music and movies and everything before and after that are very much seared in our brain. But I also think it's not a coincidence that, at least again here in the US, our horror movies are being they're now beating superhero movies at the box office. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think we're looking, but we've been told we want to confront our fears. We're kind of disillusioned and kind of know the hero isn't coming, so we know we have to save ourselves. And so horror movies are you know, and the amount of great actors and writers and directors coming out of that is great. So only I could take the political discussion and bring it all the way through back around to cheesy schlocky horror movies.
I love
But
it.
there you go. There you go. There you go.
I can't help but notice, ever since I said the quote, that you're kind of restless and not looking at the camera anymore.
Yeah, because I'm writing. Well, because I'm like,
Did I hit? Like,
I'm
did I
like, well. First
trigger
of all,
you?
I did write a little bit. Also, I do
Sorry.
have to hop on another Zoom call after this. So I'm
Yeah.
just kind of keeping an eye on the time to make sure I'm good at quarter till. But also, like, I keep writing different things. You got the thing going. So like, I closed out my phone so I wouldn't keep pulling it up, and I've been like typing other things that you've said and I've said since that quote, because it's like, this is how the creativity goes for me. It's like,
Oh,
oh
I've
no,
got so
the
many
well is
more for
open.
you.
The
So many
the
more.
well is open. Well, we'll have to do this again because this hour flew by way too quickly.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I didn't even get to the question that I had for you.
Well, let's finish that. Let's finish with that. We'll finish with that, and we'll save everything for a part 2 because I would love to do this again soon.
What is your view on life and death? In 4 minutes or less.
In 4 minutes or less. Oh my goodness.
No pressure. You know, we can always come back to that. I think that would be a really good.
I've got this.
Okay. I'm here for it.
Not to say I've got all the answers, but I think it can be summed up. So I lost my mom last year after she was diagnosed with cancer when I was like 14. She beat it. That was breast cancer, and then she had lung cancer because she didn't quit smoking. We can get into all of that, but like this, because I knew it was coming for the last 25 years. Like oh yeah, this is So in many ways, it was a blessing because we got to tell each other, hey, we had 25 extra years. Like that's the thing. And she'd always say, don't make things a problem. Don't make things into a problem. And we as humans, we like to make everything a problem. And I grew up liking murder mysteries and everything too. But like what I do with magic, mind reading, mentalism, has to do with mystery. And problems are not mysteries. Problems are meant to be solved, and mysteries are meant to be experienced. If all those problems we were talking about before, if they were all solved tomorrow, air 100% breathable, water drinkable, please, people saying please and thank you, all of it solved, there would still be a profound level of mystery. And if life and death has taught me anything, it's that mystery may be the most sacred thing we have. The mystery of what happens after we die. Why is there something rather than nothing? And I think, what you do, what I do, the paranormal, mind reading, even a deeply impressive card trick can invite us all back into direct contact with mystery, and not to solve it, but to experience it for ourselves.
The awe of life.
I don't know if that was 4 minutes. It may have been a little more. I'm sorry if I didn't come in under the 4-minute mark.
That's actually 3 minutes. You have one more. Go.
Oh my God. One more. And until that death comes, you should go to JoeDiamondLive.com and come see one of my shows. Boom. Shameless plug in there too. All right.
Mic drop. We'll wrap this up for now, but I would absolutely love to have you back.
Please. I'd love to talk more. Yeah. So
philosophy.
And also, yeah, just to stay in touch in general too. Like
we're best friends now.
I have a feeling we'll want to record all of our conversations, but also like let's talk even
Absolutely.
if it's not to record. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, this was great. I've been so excited for this.
I love that you came on the show, that you were excited for the show. I think the timing, I'll
I'm
tell
so
you off
excited.
air
Yeah,
later, the
yeah.
timing on it is like
Oh, wonderful.
faith in the
Wonderful,
universe,
wonderful.
man.
Yeah.
And thank you for being here, and thank you for explaining why it is so beautiful and needed to embrace the
Thank you.
mystery in your life and in death.
Thank you.
And you can be found at Joe Diamond Live on Instagram.
Yep. Joe Diamond Live on all social media platforms. That's the .com. So you can go there. You can watch the TV appearances. I do this full time. So if anyone, anywhere, I travel all over the Midwest, the country, and beyond. I have done shows in Canada. I've done shows in Puerto Rico. I've flown for shows. So if anywhere in the world, in person and over Zoom too. I still do Zoom shows for companies and such. So if anyone is looking to add more mystery in their lives or wants to shoot me a message, they can do all that through social media and the website.
Perfect. And if you have any extra questions for me, you can email me at contact@dearpsychopomp.com. And this has been another episode of Dear Psychopomp.